Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ba'd. We're continuing the story of Prophet Yusuf. And so the king was very impressed that Yusuf was not only knowledgeable about how to interpret dreams, but he was actually giving good advice to the people of Egypt, and he wanted to help them. And he didn't even ask for anything in return. He said, this is the advice and this is what you need to do. And he did not expect or even request anything for himself. So the king was excited and he said, I want to meet this guy. I want to meet Yusuf. So he said, bring him to me and I want to keep him near me because this is a guy who's smart, he's beneficial, he's somebody who deserves to be close to me so he can give me some good advice. So the messenger of the king went to the prison and told Yusuf, he said, the king of Egypt wants you to come and work for him. So you are forgiven for all the crimes you've committed and you can leave prison. But Yusuf was not satisfied with that because Yusuf was innocent. He wasn't guilty in the first place. But why should he be forgiven for something that he never did anything wrong? So Yusuf said, no, I'm not leaving prison. Before I leave, I want a full investigation into my case. Everybody should find out that I was innocent the whole time and that I never did anything wrong in the first place. So now, if somebody else, think about yourself, if somebody had spent years behind bars in prison and they were given a chance to leave, would you hesitate? You'd say, if it was me, I'd say, I don't care, guilty or innocent, I don't need to get out of here. Yusuf was not like that. Yusuf is an extremely patient person. And for him, he's willing to stay in prison longer to prove his innocence. And he wanted to leave in prison the right way because he entered prison the wrong way. He didn't do anything wrong, but he was put in prison anyways. So Yusuf knew, so why would he do this? Yusuf knew that he's a messenger of Allah. And it's Yusuf's job, it's the job of any messenger of Allah to teach people the truth. And so do you think Yusuf stayed in prison longer because he cared about his reputation? It's not about his personal reputation. He doesn't care what people think about him, but only to the extent that he can teach people more about Islam. So your reputation matters only to the point where it's going to become detrimental. People are not going to try to learn the truth from you because of maybe some wrong perceptions about you. Otherwise, Yusuf would not care about what other people think. And other Muslims, we should not be caring about what other people think. So the king agreed. And he said, okay, this guy is a really good guy. Let's order a detailed investigation into his case. So he sent the police over there. And they started interrogating and questioning everyone that was involved in the case. They spoke to the minister, they spoke to his wife, they spoke to the other women who were invited and some of them cut their hands. They spoke to the family members. They checked everything and it came out, it was very clear that Yusuf was innocent the whole time. And so everyone said, yeah, he didn't do anything wrong. He was framed by this woman. And at the end, finally, even the woman Zulaykha, the wife of the minister, even she admitted. And she says, yeah, it's true. I did lie about him. He was innocent the whole time. So Yusuf finally left prison and he left with honor. He left with dignity and he goes to work for the king. So now the king welcomes him into the court. He has a job, basically. And the king is even more impressed. He said, you know, this guy was already impressive, but now, I mean, what kind of person would want to do this and wait longer in prison to prove his innocence before coming out? So the king said, no, you're going to stay in the palace with me. Normally, Yusuf was in prison, but who did he belong to? When he leaves prison, he technically was purchased as a slave by the minister. The king saying, no, you do not get this guy back, especially after what you did to him, number one. You put him in jail wrongly. And number two, this guy's too valuable. I want to have him for myself. So the king brings him back into the palace. And so the king is going to follow Yusuf's advice. And what did Yusuf advise him to do? You need to store up grain before this famine hits. But that's not good enough. Yusuf knew that in Egypt, there's a lot of people who are dishonest. And there's managers of the grain factories, There are guards who are protecting with the armors and stuff. There's like armed guards probably. They're all protecting the grain storage. So when the famine hits, those people have to be responsible. And if they're not responsible and if they can't be trusted, what's going to happen? The security guards and the managers, they're going to give all of their grain to their family, to their friends, or they'll only sell it to the rich people and charge them a lot of money, but they wouldn't leave anything for the people who are poor, all the other people who need food. So Yusuf knew that the managers in Egypt, they're not honest people. They didn't have the greatest people working for them. And the people are going to suffer. And he knew that if the manager is honest, but they're not wise and they don't know how to distribute things properly, they don't know how to have a good system in storing and a good system in distributing all of that grain during the famine, the people are also going to suffer. So Yusuf was honest. And Yusuf knows that he's wise. He's somebody who's smart. So he told the king, he said, listen, this is the plan. You're doing the plan. You should put me in charge of all the grain storehouses because I'm honest and I'm wise. So you need somebody like me if you really want to make sure that all the people are getting the grain like they should. Now, so Yusuf, he wasn't shy to ask for getting this really important position. Why was he not shy? Because he knew that there's nobody else qualified in Egypt to do this job. And he was qualified to do the job. You see, as a Muslim, Yusuf knows, and we should also know, that if somebody else is just as qualified or more qualified than us, we shouldn't suggest ourselves. Say, I want to be in that position, out of humility or something like that. You should just say somebody else should go. But the king accepted and knew that Yusuf was one of those people who could be counted on. And he knew that other people are not that reliable. So the king accepted his offer. He put him in charge of all the grain storehouses in Egypt. So now Yusuf is in a very important position. And he can travel anywhere he wants in Egypt. And he's now one of the most powerful ministers in Egypt. Just a little while ago, maybe this happened in like a month or so, he was in prison, like rotting away in a sense, like very difficult life in prison. And now he becomes so elevated that he's in an amazing position. And that's what happened to Yusuf before. He went from the well, he was freed. Then he went into slavery. And he went from slavery into a really nice minister's house. And then he went from that back down. It's like his whole life is a roller coaster. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. And so Yusuf is just riding these drops and these climbs. And so now he's at the height. He is now a very powerful minister in Egypt. So, where are we now? Okay. So the famine came after a while, just like Yusuf had predicted, just like the dream, happened to the king. So this famine was very widespread. It didn't only affect Egypt, it actually affected many of the surrounding areas as well. So the people, the land where he was from, Canaan, they heard that Egypt has all of this extra grain stored up, and they're giving it to people who are really in need. So Prophet Yaqub, he's living over there in that village, small town of Canaan, and he sends his children, he sends his sons to go there and buy some food for the family because they need food. So he kept the youngest son, Benjamin, he kept him with himself because he didn't trust the brothers with this other son because of what they did to Yusuf. So he goes and he sends these other brothers to go and get some food. So when they arrived in Egypt, they met Minister Yusuf now. And it had been years since they've ever seen him. He was in Egypt, then he was in prison, now he's a minister. And Yusuf was wearing special clothing that an Egyptian minister wears. So they wear a special type of clothing where there's like a cover over their head and it drapes down, and you've probably seen some of those things. So he's wearing Egyptian clothing, and it's been several years, so he's obviously changed and he looks different. So nobody recognized him, and he wasn't called by his real name either, because the person in that position of power, you don't use their first name, you use their title. That's their special position. So as soon as the brothers came in, Yusuf recognized his brothers. They had not changed that much. He could tell they're from Canaan, and he saw that there's 10 of them. He goes, I know this family. I can see, even though it's been years, I know exactly these are my brothers. And he heard their names and everything like that. But his brothers did not recognize him at all. They couldn't imagine that this could be Yusuf. The brothers probably thought Yusuf died, or Yusuf is in some distant land. He's probably a slave somewhere, and there's no way in the world that he could become a minister of the powerful land of Egypt. Like, this is unthinkable for them. So Yusuf just decided to play along. So he asked them, who are you people? Where are you from? Asked all the questions. And they said, we've come from Canaan. Our parents are very old. They weren't able to come with us. And we also have another brother. He's a little brother. His name is Benjamin. Our father wouldn't allow him to come. So we need food for all 13 of us. We're 13 people in the family. So they're explaining, we're only 10 people here, but we need food for 13 people. So don't just give us food for us, because we have a mom, we have a dad, and we have another little brother, and he wasn't able to come. So Yusuf decided he's just going to listen. He's not going to tell him who he is yet, because he had a plan in mind. So Yusuf gave food for all 13 of them. And usually they have to pay something for it. He didn't really charge them much money. He said, you know what, whatever little money you brought, that's enough. I'll give you 13 full loads of food for all of you. He said, but I have one condition. The next time you come back, make sure you bring your other brother with you. And don't worry, I'm going to treat him really nicely the way that I treated you. Because Yusuf was really nice to his brothers. When they came to Egypt, he gave them a nice place to stay. He gave them good food because they were visitors. So he treated them so nicely. So he's trying to encourage them that, you know what, Benjamin, if he comes, he's going to be safe. Everything's going to be fine. You don't need to worry about it. But so Yusuf used the tactic of motivating them. Look how nice I am to you guys and everything. But then he used the flip side. He used a threat. And he said, listen, if you don't bring your brother next time, then you know what that means? That means you were lying to me. That means you were just trying to trick me into getting you more food, and you don't actually have a brother. So he goes, if that happens, if you come again and I don't see your brother here, you get no food for anybody. You get absolutely nothing next time. So now he wanted to make absolutely sure that they're going to come back. And then he did the third thing. Yusuf took their money that they paid, and he went and he secretly put it back into their bags so that they have enough money to come again next time to be able to purchase food. Because otherwise, maybe they don't have so much money and they say, oh, we can't go to Egypt now, we can't buy this food. So, we'll just go somewhere else, or we'll just try to eat less, or whatever it is. So now he used 3 tactics to try to get them to come back. 1, he was extremely nice to them. Number 2, he threatened them. He said, you know what, you better not be lying to me. You need to bring your other brother next time to prove that you needed that extra load. And number 3, he put their money back in their bag, but they didn't even recognize it. They would recognize it only when they returned back home. So then the 10 brothers go back home with how many loads of food? 13 loads of food, because they got the food for mom, for dad, and for Benjamin. So they go home and they told their father what happened, and they said, you know what? Amazing. Egypt was so nice. The minister was such a good man. He gave us 13 full loads. He trusted us. But next time, you have to send Benjamin with us. If you don't, we're not going to get any food at all. And like the food that we have right now, this is not going to last very long. So you have to send him next time, but don't worry about anything. We're going to take care of him, properly if you send him with us. So Yaqub, what does he respond? He said, you really think that I should trust you with Benjamin the way that I trusted you with Yusuf before? I mean, he was right. He's like, they can't be trusted. Look, they did a horrible thing to his other brother, to Benjamin's full brother. They can't be trusted. But what other choice did Yaqub have? He has no other choice. They need food. The family is in need of food, and they cannot get it from anywhere else because there's a famine. So then brothers are trying to convince Yaqub, next time we have to let him go. They open up their luggage, and they find their money has been returned back to them. He stashed it in their bag. And so they went and they told their father and said, look, he gave us our money back too. I mean, this is a really good man. Benjamin is going to be fine. And so Yaqub, he's kind of getting a sense that, hey, maybe this is all part of Allah's plan. And he said, I have really no choice because the family is going to need food again very soon. We have to give it to him. So then Yaqub said, okay, I still want to be careful. Yaqub is always trying to be cautious. He was cautious with Yusuf before. He was cautious with Benjamin now. So he's trying to do what every parent should do. He said, put whatever precautions you could put in place and then put your trust in Allah. So Yaqub told him, he said, okay, there's only one thing I can do right now is I'm gonna send him with you on one condition. You have to swear that you're gonna bring Benjamin back safely. And then he just kind of made a side comment. He said, unless you're overpowered somehow. And it's funny because the first time he made a side comment, he was, I can't send Yusuf with you. I think a wolf might eat him. And they made the excuse of the wolf eating him. Now he made a side comment of, unless somehow you get overpowered, then obviously, we can't blame you for that. So they swore by Allah, said, we will bring him back, we will protect him. This time nothing's going to happen to him, don't worry about it. So the father reminded them, he said, remember that Allah is a witness to what you just swore. Allah is a witness to that. So Yaqub wanted to be extra careful. So he told them a second precaution. He said, when you reach the city of Egypt, do not enter through the same gate all at the same time. Instead, what you guys need to do is split up into smaller groups and walk in through different gates, because every city has gates where you can enter, because they have city walls protecting. It's like a fortress around the city. So don't enter from the same gate. Split up. You're going to be 11 brothers now. Split up and enter through different gates. So this was his advice that he gave them, strong advice that he gave them. And the reason why he said this is because he knew when people saw 11 sons or 10 sons, 10 big ones and coming out strong ones, that what would happen is that they might get jealous. People might say, wow, 10 sons in one family. In those days, people, they wish that they have large and strong families, because if you do, it's going to increase your power. It's going to increase your honor. It's going to increase the amount of money that comes into the family. And he knew that people will get jealous. And when you get jealous of somebody and you say, I wish I had that many kids, then what's going to happen? Someone gets jealous of you, they potentially can harm you in some way. So he wanted to be very cautious about them getting harmed. So the brothers, they went to Egypt and they entered the city through different gates, exactly the way that their father instructed. But when they went to go and get their loads of grain, Yusuf saw Benjamin. And he was so happy. He says, my brother, full brother, my brother's here. I'm so happy. He managed to somehow distract them. And he grabbed Benjamin on the side and he was secretly talking to him in the corner. And he said, listen, I'm your brother, Yusuf. I'm still alive. I didn't die. The brothers of ours, our half brothers, they threw me into a well. And I ended up here in Egypt. It's a long story, but now I'm the minister of Egypt. So don't worry about anything. I have a plan, just follow along with my plan. So Benjamin now is part of the plan. So Benjamin's super happy, and he's like, because he thought Yusuf was dead. He thought he'd never going to see his brother in his life ever again. So all these good memories with his brother start coming back. He says, okay, I'm going to follow the plan. My brother knows what he's doing. So Yusuf wanted to somehow keep Benjamin with him. He didn't want him to leave again, just in case something happened. He missed him so much. It's been such a long time. But he can't just keep him. Even though Yusuf is a very powerful minister in Egypt, he can't just be like, hey, you're not allowed to go back home. You're going to stay with me. You can't just do that. You can't just steal him from another family, because public perception still matters to an extent. So he came up with a very intelligent plan. He took a valuable drinking cup that belonged to the palace, that was from the king, right? So it was part of the palace. And he took that and he secretly put that cup inside the luggage of his younger brother, Benjamin. And so the next day, the brothers got their food, they packed up their bags, and they left Egypt, and they're leaving. And as soon as they got outside the gates of the city and they're moving a little bit, Yusuf continued his plan. And he sent his police to go and search all of the bags. So the police chased them down, and they yelled, stop, all of you guys over there. One of you is a thief. You guys have stole something. And so the brothers, They were shocked because they were already on their way out of the city. And they said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What did we steal? And the police said, the cup of the king is missing. And one of you must have taken it. And if any one of you tells the truth, whoever tells the truth, we're going to give you a reward of 1 extra camel load of grain. So it's like bribing them basically. Tell us, if you know who it is, we're going to give you a reward if you tell us who it is. So the brothers were so confident. They're like, no, we swear by Allah, none of us would ever steal. We didn't come to Egypt here to cause problems. We just came for food. We didn't, we're not thieves. So they were so confident. They're like, none of us would ever steal. So the police responded back and they said, okay, we'll see. We're going to start searching. But you're not confessing. So since you don't confess, what should your punishment be if you're lying? If we find out that you stole, what do you think your punishment should be? This is all part of Yusuf's plan, by the way. He set this entire thing up. But the police don't know it either. And the brothers don't know it either. Only Benjamin and Yusuf knows this plan. So the brothers, he said, listen, if you find the cup in one of our bags, then whoever stole it, they become your slave. Because in our land where we come from in Canaan, that's how we punish people who steal. Anyone who steals from another person, they end up becoming the slave. That was their law. And Yusuf knew this. That's not the law in Egypt, but that's the law in Canaan. So he knew that the brothers would probably do something like this and say, hey, we're willing to follow our own stricter law in Canaan rather than the law of Egypt. And they did that, and they made a commitment. We will follow our local law, which is even stricter. We're that confident that none of us would ever steal this. So the police said, okay, deal. If you're guilty, we're going to punish you according to your law, not according to our law, which was a little bit softer. So they started searching every single bag. And then Yusuf arrives at the scene. He's watching and supervising the inspection of all the bags. And finally, the last bag that they checked is Benjamin's bag. And they found it in there. And they pulled it out. And they're like, you thief! This is the king's cup. We found it. And his brothers are just shocked. And they're ashamed. And they're like, they couldn't believe it. They were like, we can't believe he would steal. But then what happened? What happened is, remember, they had jealousy of Yusuf in the past. They had this hidden jealousy in their hearts about Benjamin as well, because he's from another mother. He's their half-brother. And also because they thought that he's getting more attention than the other brothers are getting. Just like they thought Yusuf was getting more attention. So all that jealousy that's been hidden in their heart for so long, it comes out again. The jealousy against Yusuf, the jealousy against Benjamin, it comes out. And immediately after all of that, there's no way any of us would steal. As soon as they saw that he's guilty, even though he's really not, but they framed him, they immediately changed the whole story. And they said, you know what? Actually, we're really not that surprised. He even has another brother. His name was Yusuf long time ago. He was a thief too. He had stole something too. And Yusuf is sitting there listening to this story of them insulting him. Now you can imagine how tough this must be for Yusuf. To be insulted like this by your brothers who almost tried to kill you, and now they're making up this story, and you're sitting right there in front of your own police and everything, and they're insulting you. Many people, they would not control themselves. They'd be like, oh yeah, you take off the hat and everything. It's me. How dare you talk to me like that? No. Yusuf, extremely patient. And he's just sitting there listening to them, insulting him to his face. They still don't recognize who he is. Yusuf never stole before. Okay, they heard a rumor from somebody that, oh, Yusuf did such and such thing, and they believed it till this day. So the brothers believed this rumor, they never clarified. And this is one of the problems with rumors. You don't clarify it, you may believe it for years. 10 years later, you still think that person did that thing and actually never happened. You just never investigated. Somebody lied to you, or somebody spread some false information. So Yusuf, obviously, he felt like responding back, but he didn't. He said, I'm not going to defend myself. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be quiet. And he didn't allow any of his anger, any of his frustration to show. Because normally you'd be like at least keeping it in. Just straight face, listening to all of that. And then the brothers started thinking, and they said they remembered their promise to their father. Because they know Benjamin now, they just gave him up in slavery to this minister, not knowing that he's Yusuf. So the brothers remembered their promise to their father, and they're like, we are going to be in really big trouble now with our father. We swore by Allah we're going to bring Benjamin back safely, and now he's gone. So they started pleading with Yusuf. They said, honorable minister, his father is so old, he's really going to be hurt, have some pity, take one of us instead. And whether they meant it genuinely or not genuinely, they're like, we know you're such a good person, just help us out here. So Yusuf is like, look, I ask Allah to protect me from doing something wrong like that. How could I punish an innocent person like you who never stole instead of the thief? That's unjust. That would be wrong. That would make me look bad too, and that's wrong. I can't do that. So the brothers' argument is closed. There's nothing for them to say. So they can't respond to that. So Benjamin ends up staying with his brother Yusuf in Egypt for a while. And now the brothers need to go back, and they need to tell their father what happened. So they went back to Egypt. And the brothers had no idea what to do. So they're like, how are they going to explain that first they lost Yusuf in the wilderness, and now Benjamin had been captured in Egypt? I mean, this is a very unbelievable story. So the eldest brother, probably the one who said long time ago, let's not kill Yusuf, let's just put him in a well rather than killing him. So at least he chose the lesser evil of the evils they were going to do. So the elder brother, he said, I'm not going back to Egypt. I cannot face my father. So I'm going to stay here until either Benjamin is released. Somehow I'm just going to keep on trying to talk to people. Maybe they can help us or something. Or my father sends me a message and says, you're allowed to come back home. I'm just going to keep on trying because I am too embarrassed to go back and tell Yaqub, my father. So he says, you guys go back and you tell our father exactly what really happened. We swore to bring him back, but there's no way we could have known that something like this is going to happen. We could not have known that he's going to steal, and then our law is going to be applied and he's going to be taken as a captive. We can never know that. So now the brothers go back home. 9 brothers go back home, and they tell their father the whole story. And at the end, father's probably skeptical too. He says, come on, am I supposed to believe this story? And they said, listen, you can ask the people of Egypt. Like, there is a caravan that traveled with us, and they all came from Egypt. We have witnesses this time. Last time there were no witnesses to ask. This time he goes, we were in a group of people, they're coming from Egypt, they're traveling through Canaan. Ask all those people, they were witnesses. They can tell you, they can be witness of exactly what happened. Benjamin actually stole something, and that's why he's in prison. So Yaqub obviously checked. And he says, you know what? They're telling the truth this time. But how could this happen? So he knew that Allah is testing him again. So now he lost Benjamin, he had lost Yusuf before, and now even the elder brother, he didn't come back either. So now Yaqub has lost 3 children. What did Yaqub do? There's nothing to do. So he was calm, and he just said, right now, all I can do is be patient. Maybe Allah's going to bring all of them back to me, because he kind of knew a sign that Allah told him that he's going to test him, but he didn't know how. So Yaqub was alone. And when he was alone, he would start to remember Yusuf. It's been so many years. And he hadn't seen Yusuf in such a long time. So sometimes he would cry, and he would repeat Yusuf's name. And nobody was watching him. They thought nobody was watching him. But he was crying and crying, and his eyes started to become weak because he kept on crying so much. If you cry a lot, you notice that your eyesight kind of messes up a little bit, even if it's temporarily. So he just kind of permanently was messing up his eyesight a little bit, and he couldn't see fully the way that he used to see before. So his brothers, his sons, the brothers, they would come and they would see how sad their father is. And they would overhear him saying Yusuf's name. He was crying and he's saying, Yusuf, I miss you, Yusuf. And so they got mad at him. And while he's crying and he's sad, what did they say to their father? They said, you're never going to stop thinking about Yusuf until you faint or until you die. Like, is that, somebody who's sad, you're supposed to console them, you feel bad for them. Instead, they have so much hatred and jealousy against Yusuf. What do? They're getting mad at their father when he's in a sensitive moment. And say, all you do is think about Yusuf, still, you're going to die like that, man. So they were really mean because their jealousy never went away, even though Yusuf's been gone for years. So what would Yaqub respond? He would respond gently, but he would respond firmly. And he would basically tell them, you guys mind your own business. I'm not showing my sadness to you. I'm complaining to Allah. I'm not crying in front of you, I'm crying in front of Allah. And Allah has told me something that you don't know. So you leave me alone and you mind your own business. So later on, Yaqub, he received a sign. Good news. That some good news is about to happen. And he didn't know what it was. So he went and he told his sons, he said, now go back to Egypt. I want all of you 9 to go back to Egypt and you're going to search for Yusuf and you're going to search for Benjamin. And you should never lose hope in Allah. So now they must be thinking, what is this guy doing? We're going to search for Yusuf, we just lost Benjamin, and we're supposed to search for both of them? So nobody understands what's going on except Prophet Yaqub. Why? Because he didn't just come up with this randomly on his own. Allah had given him some kind of message that his test is about to be ending soon. So we'll leave it at that and we'll stop at the secret revealed. Are there any questions anybody has? Questions? Okay, then I will ask questions. So, let's see. What question do I have? How did Yusuf prove his innocence? Who can tell me? Nobody. Yes. Yes, he asked for an investigation and the police investigated and they proved that he was innocent. How did Yusuf become a minister for the king? 2 ways. Yeah. Yeah.
One, because Allah wanted it. 2, because some of the signs, some of the things he was doing, like the dreams and stuff like that, he proved himself worthy. And the king said that I'm going to keep him for myself.
Okay, so he interpreted the dream to the will of Allah, and the king said, I'm going to keep him for myself. So that's one way. What's the second way? So that's how he became working for the king. How did he become the head minister for the king? Who gave him a super strong recommendation? Yes. The initial recommendation was from the prisoner who was released. Who gave him the recommendation to get to the highest position? He came with the plan. But who told him to put him in charge? Who told the king to put him in charge of all the storehouse? Himself. He recommended himself and he got the job. All right. The brothers visit. Why couldn't the brothers recognize who Yusuf is? Yeah. Excellent. He was wearing Egyptian clothing and it's been many years. Very good. Next. What 2 things did Yaqub tell his sons to do when they go to Egypt with Benjamin, as a precaution? Like what 2 conditions did he set? I'm going to let Benjamin go only if you do these 2 things. Yes. One of them was swearing by Allah that you're going to bring him back. Yes. Go through multiple gates. Very good. What was the reason for going through multiple gates? Say it.
There would be a lot of jealousy because at that time having one son.
Good. There'd be a lot of jealousy having lots of sons at the time. Okay. You see this slide? It says, it's not even correct. Okay. I'm seeing something different than what you're seeing. Is this even working? Does this just stop working? I don't know what happened. Okay, anyways. One slide says the trick. What was the trick? Shortest question ever. What was the trick? Anybody from that group over there? You all kind of look like you're paying attention. The what? In the bag. What's in the bag? The cup, the king's cup. Very good. They put the king's cup in the bag and they framed. Who did they frame? Benjamin. Excellent. Very good. We'll leave it at that. We'll see you next week. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum.